On this episode of Three Black Guys with the Mic, Dr. Sylmara Chatman is here to talk about functional medicine, everything you need to know about living a healthy lifestyle. Plus, we talk about Donald Trump, Stormy Daniels, Betsy Devos, Bruno Mars, and much more on this episode of Three Black Guys with the Mic.
First of all, let me tell you something. Lamont is just full of
Sometimes my mama said, when you don't have nothing nice to say, you should be quiet.
People say that Stephen A. is a coon. You agree with that? Everybody got quiet on that one, okay? Go ahead.
Rudy Giuliani practices voodoo. So he put a voodoo hex on my girl, Hillary, and that's why she got woozy. And the Secret Service had to prop her up and put her in the van.
But take us to a break, my dude.
It was voodoo, son.
I don't know about that voodoo.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Three Black Guys with a Mic. Other value meals give customers a handful of side items. Bunch of fries in the bag. But Wendy's 4 for $4 is setting 2018 on fire. Hashtag value goes. Wendy's created the 4 for $4 to give customers the best meal in America for only $4. And we thank you because the response has been sick. It's March, so March Madness is in full effect. So head over to Wendy's and get a 4 for $4. Now you can choose from 8 fresh tasting options. Double stack, crispy chicken sandwich, grilled go wrap, junior bacon cheeseburger, crispy chicken BLT, a junior cheeseburger, spicy go wrap, or a junior cheeseburger deluxe. All those options for you. Plus nuggets, fresh fries, and a drink. You can't beat it for $4. Plus, it's always fresh, never frozen at a participating Wendy's. Offer not valid in Alaska and Hawaii. Now, let's start the show. Lamont, did you clear your Stormy Daniels history yet?
Let me tell you something. Listen. No, real spill. Y'all hating on Stormy. Stormy, listen. Stormy's still doing strip clubs, bro.
I ain't mad at Stormy. Stormy, get that money. Stormy, get that money.
Stormy's bookings just went up, yo. Stormy's bookings went up.
Stormy for strip club, bro. She's getting money, man. I mean, that's gonna be short term, but I'm wondering, like, for all the strip club DJs out there that know, when finale is up, on the top of the hour. all the girls, tops down, you know what I'm saying? Stormy is doing midnight finale.
No. Didn't say all the girls tops down on this show.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Where is the program director?
But, Maynard, do you think that, what I'm saying? I know she's getting some money right now, but she offered to, give, the Trump administration or the Trump team or whatever, the $130,000 back in order to be able to speak freely. So here's 2 questions. One, if she's able to do that and be able to speak freely, is this going to hurt Donald Trump? Because it seems as if nothing has been able to hurt him so far. And then 2, is this only going to set her up for more money after that with books, movies, in interviews, so forth and so on?
B.
No, C.
No.
And C is, hold on, watch this though, Lamont. It's C. You're right that it's going to set her up for some books and some other stuff. But she's set up for books and stuff anyway. At least she's set up, maybe she can't ever talk about Trump, but you know how many interviews that people are going to call her to pay her? Howard Stern is going to pay her to come on for her to say, I really can't say anything. I can't say anything about that. She's going to do more movies, and the movies she's going to get paid more for her porn movies and more for her appearances and more for this and more for that. Then, and she knows, her attorney knows that once, look, if you go and buy a car on Sunday and drive it off the lot and keep it for 60 days and then say, I don't want this car. I want all of my money back. It's not happening. You entered the contract. They ain't going backwards on the contract. So they knew that. They just figured like, hey, this is another way to keep Stormy Daniels in the news another week. It was a stunt. They know they ain't getting that money. They ain't going to be able to get that money back and let her talk. Would it hurt Donald Trump? The honest truth is, unless she has something wild, crazy on Donald Trump, like he's into some really strange sexual proclivity kind of foolishness.
She said she got text messages, though.
I mean, that's cool. I don't understand if I was Donald Trump, I'd be like, yeah, I slept with her. What's the big deal? He's Donald Trump. He's grabbed him by the cooch. He's divorced 2 other women because of affairs. He's done all kinds of other, nasty shenanigans.
Yeah, but
it's not like
Lamar,
Melania.
he's making it sound like it's okay. You making it sound like those things are okay.
Listen, no,
It's
Spud,
not
stop.
like Melania don't know.
Spud, stop. He is roping himself. What do they say? We
Hanging
got to
himself
give
by
him
the
more.
rope.
Yeah, we got to give him more rope because Maynard is hanging himself right now.
Okay. It's not like Melania don't already know that he did these things. So what's he hiding?
So Maynard, so can I ask you this question?
You
So
think
when
that
I say on this
Melania knew
podcast,
about you think Melania knew about Stormy
hell
Daniels?
yeah,
You think so?
course.
So the reason why she went to Mar-a-Lago and she didn't go overseas with Trump is because it came out in the news, or you didn't think that she knew?
Listen, Melania was like, listen, I need this visa. My mom and dad need this visa. Whatever you want to do, dog. I ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever, dog. I'm trying to get in the U.S. How about that?
Let's
get it.
It's all about the visa.
And we're not talking about MasterCard Visa, bro. If you know what we're talking about, it's about getting the visa. So all I'm going to say is what Maynard always chastises me on. Obviously, Donald Trump's ice is a little bit colder than Barack's.
No, I'm not saying that.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying that
the president of the United States right now is being accused of having sex with someone who has her top down at the top of every hour between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. He's the president, bruh. And this lady is still stripping today.
This is the question.
And still doing movies. This
is the crazy part. Then watch this. A homie sent me a text message a couple days ago. He paid this stripper for sex. He is a true dirtbag. I was thinking to myself, let me say something to you, my dude. This dude I'm talking about, and I ain't gonna name his name, MC. I ain't gonna name his name. He know who I'm talking about when he heard that. He got more porn on his daggone laptop than anybody I know. So she's a porn star, and he paid to have sex with her. People are acting like having sex with a porn star is not something that most men fantasize about. Like, porn is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Now, wait a minute.
But no, hold on.
Maynard, are you on your medication?
No, I'm telling y'all, porn is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but no man watches it. I don't watch that.
Are you trying to set us up for something that may come out in the next couple of months?
Exactly.
Yo, I'm just saying, books is in stores on Tuesdays. Books in store on Tuesday. You want to get that, Maynard?
For bookings, Maynard Scale at MaynardScales.com.
From porn to the pulpit.
Did you guys see Betsy DeVos's interview on 60 Minutes?
This broad is horrible.
What is she saying? I mean, break this down, Maynard. You're the political junkie here, So I sense that what Betsy DeVos is saying is take money from the underperforming schools and put them into students in performing schools in order for the underperforming schools to begin to perform. Am I right on that?
Well, you kind of got some of it, but so let me see. So this is what happens. What Republicans have been fans of for years and years and years now. This is not new in Republican ideology. Is that we should let these children, let anybody get access to a voucher. So your tax dollars may be $4,000 for schools. What if we gave you this $4,000 instead of taking your taxes? What if we gave you the $4,000 and you can take your child to any school that you want? And some of those schools may be public charter schools, or they may be private schools, or what have you. And so what happens is the $4,000 no longer goes to the underperforming school that the child was attending, and it follows the child. And that on the surface, that sounds logical, like, oh yeah, give the money to the kid. But this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. What if you really don't have the means to? First of all, it typically is right that if you take children who are doing well out of an underperforming school and put them in a higher performing school, the higher performing school continues to perform high, and the underperforming school will continue to fail. It's basically taking the cream of the crop. Mm-hmm. And taking it out of that bad school and putting that cream into the good school. It doesn't make the bad school better. It makes it, it makes it worse.
Right.
That's one. Two, what the risk that we run is if you continue to take money from the underperforming schools, then you just continue to put that school at a greater disadvantage. We have to look at schools, in my opinion, as someone who just went to the hospital, we have to look at schools like the emergency room doctors. So if you have a doctor who's been practicing medicine for 20 years and he works in the emergency room, and another doctor who's been practicing medicine for 20 months working in the emergency room, and three people show up at the same time from the same car accident, one has dire needs, the other one just kind of needs some stitches, and the third one, like, yo, we need to get him some attention, but we think it's going to be okay. You give him the best doctor. So the kids with the greatest need should get the best teachers. But what we do is we say, oh, you're a high performing student. Great. We're going to give you the best teachers. And you're a low performing student. We're going to give you the worst school. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't work. You wouldn't say this guy's neck is about to fall off in the emergency room and he's bleeding profusely. Hey, the kid that just got out of college, who's just started practicing medicine, who's only done 2 operations. Why don't you work on him while we give the best doctor who's been here 25 years and done 50 daggone surgeries a year for the past 20 years? We're going to let him just put some stitches in this other kid's arm. That's stupid. And then lastly, what I would say, and I know Lamont wants to get in because he says I talk long. I ain't trying to hear his ass. So
I'm so confused. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. It's just,
Well, no, I get it because I read a book. This is the way I looked at it, and again, you broke it down. Thank you. The way I looked at it was, I read this book. I cannot remember the book at all, but the book was about management, and the book was about, instead of you investing in the underperforming employee, put more of your attention on the people who are already doing good. Now, the logic is you would think that if these people are already doing bad, you want to try to do what you can to be able to bring them up to everybody else's level. But the book basically was telling me, and I think it's called Execution, but I don't know. But the book was basically saying, listen, take your overachievers and your, high-performing people and invest all of your time in them, because they're only going to make more of overachievers. They're only going to continue to contribute to the bottom line, and the people who are not, those are the people who are just going to fall by the wayside anyway. And so I looked at it from that model of, this is what Betsy Devos is saying. Look, all these people in these schools that are underperforming and these students that are underperforming, leave them alone. Don't even invest your energy in that, because it's better for you to take the students that are performing, put them in better performing schools, and then that way the people who are not performing will look at them and say, this is who I need to model myself after.
But watch this though, Spud. This is a very sneaky thing that these Republicans are trying to push here. So what you have to remember is that outside of the state or the county or the city, outside of those public schools that we all know and we all grew up with, who has the greatest number of schools in the country? The Catholic Church. Right. Other religious institutions. And because the Republicans want to, what do they say? Oh, we got to get God back in school. Well, you can't get God back into the public school, but we can get public school kids back into God by putting them in these. Mm-hmm. So if I can say to you as a parent, you know what, your kid is failing at this school and this school is failing you. And there's $4,000. I want you to take this $4,000 and you go and pick a school. Now, what they've done is they said, in the black neighborhoods and in cities, we're going to put charter schools up, which are still public schools. Right. But in suburban communities, they don't put charter schools up. They take those $4,000 or $6,000 or $8,000, $10,000, and they pay tuition at the private religiously affiliated school. So this is how they get federal money or state or county money to fund religious speech.
And because
that's indoctrination.
And because the religious organizations owns the building, they get money.
Right. It comes to the kid or to the kid's parents, and then the kid's parents take and pay the tuition and at the Catholic school or the Christian school or the Christian academy, whatever it may be. and now the religious organization is getting these otherwise are tax dollars that they wouldn't be able to accept previously.
So at the end of the day, it's all about getting money.
At the end of the day, it's all about making sure that we indoctrinate people with God and make you just believe in Jesus, and that's it. And then we're going to leave these other people behind because we're not going to put we're going to put charter schools in their neighborhoods, and ultimately the charter schools will fail under the weight of the.
So wait a minute, stop, because you just I know it's not just me. Spud asked you a specific question that you didn't answer.
I did answer the question.
No, you did not. Spud said, "Is it all about money?" And you said, "No, that's not what you tell us what you said."
I said it's about getting people indoctrinated into Christianity.
So that's not. So the question is it about money?
No, it's about getting people indoctrinated into Christianity.
Right, and
because what somebody broke down to me was that, especially with Betsy DeVos and privatizing of the schools, because when you have all of these people who are owning these schools privately, then when you're talking about the $4,000 tuition, and then you're talking about how much it costs for each student in school, well, now you have these people making money off of the student.
True.
So it's about the money. And the God part.
The money. I see a lot of people would see it that it's about the money. I see it about the. Remember what these people have been talking about. They've been the moral majority, or the religious right. They've been all for putting prayer in schools and, all these things that they believe make you a good American. That, we believe, or this country believes, that if you're not Christian, then you're not a good American. Many of those Republicans from districts around the country have said, hey, we don't believe that a Muslim should be elected to Congress or Senate or president, for that matter. We don't believe that if you don't believe in God, in Christ, then you shouldn't be able to do this or that. And so as a result, what they want to do is keep this indoctrination up. So we have to understand that, Bible school and these and these kinds of things are indoctrination points to make certain that we produce good Americans in their mind.
So you're telling me that when I went to Vacation Bible School, that it was about indoctrinating me to be a good American?
Yes.
When they gave me juice, sugary.
Yup.
And the cookies.
And the juice.
Yes.
To go to Vacation Bible School. Is that what you're telling me?
Don't tell me you don't miss that cookies and juice right now.
Listen, man, I'll pass, man. Like, when I was little, you're right, it was a go. But let me just say this, because, Maynard took like about 27 and a half minutes to give his dissertation, about Betsy.
I wonder how long you going to keep us talking to the doctor. I wonder when we get there.
I mean, that's important. I mean, listen, your health is more important than Betsy DeVos.
Go ahead.
I just remember as a little kid, and my mama told me to go downstairs and get some of that Amway washing powder.
I know where you're going with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like Betsy's husband was that dude that was selling Amway, bro.
That's true.
Right? Betsy's brother is the Blackwater dude. Like, these people swim, they don't give two shits about all of that, what you're talking about, Maynard, to a degree, because it's about that bread. There's some other things that are going on behind the scenes, and being the Secretary of Education, someone who has no background in education, none. Everything that you just got through talking about, she has no idea what you're talking about. All of that, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not that deep for them. It's a money play, bro.
Yeah, hold on. So let me say this. And so I guess in some respect, there's a lot of right in both of what we're both saying.
No, because not what you're saying. No. There's not a lot of right in what you're saying. There is a
lot of right in it, because the way to con people out of their money is not to ask them for the money and try to tap dance, is to give them a show. Every weekend in church is a show.
You telling me that the white Jesus trying to take their money?
They are trying. Yes. Think about this. Now we'll go back. If you can watch there was a movie on HBO called Game Change, and they were talking about Sarah Palin. And in the movie, at some point, Sarah Palin said, "Oh my goodness, we have to pray." And the Republican handlers, who are Nicole Wallace and Steve Schmidt, they were looking at her like, "Yo, you really." you believe that? We use this as a tool to get elected, but you really think that praying is going to help us win this election? Like because they were incredulous. They were like, "Are you kidding?" The people at the top don't believe this. They're intelligent people who think that by will alone they get where they're going. Like, I will myself to do this. It's not some higher power or whatever. They don't believe that. But they realize that by using religion, indoctrinating people and making these, because what have we been talking about all this time? The evangelicals, and are they going to support Trump? We have been indoctrinating them they have been indoctrinating Americans that we can make you believe in Jesus and we can make you a God-fearing, fall to your knees Christian, then we can get you to vote. If we can get you to vote, we vote this way, then we will get the money. You're right. The money will come. And if we can just convince you that this school is better because you get to pray in it and you'll give money, yes. But what they're really trying to do is it's the matrix. They're trying to create a legion of people who will stay loyal to them forever and sheepishly, sleepily give their money away to these people because I love Jesus.
All right, let's go to a break, ladies and gentlemen. We come back. Dr. Sylmara Chatman will be here with us. Stay right there. You listen to Three Black Guys with Mike. Oh, shit. Thank you so very much.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
So, Dr. Chatman, thank you so very much for joining us again, like Maynard said. I just wanted to, we wanted to have this conversation. And Maynard had unfortunately was in the hospital. And what we do on this podcast is basically kind of, talk about things targeted towards the African-American community, especially towards African-American men. And, Maynard was like, one of the things that we don't talk about in regards to African-American men is health. We always are reactive when it comes to our health. We don't want to go to the, doctor. We don't want to go to the hospital until, something bad happens. And so he said, do you have a doctor? I said, yes. So, I wanted to reach out to you to talk about the importance of Black men going to the doctor. And one of the things that you have, taken, to another level in regards to your practice, which is functional medicine. So if you can, let's start with what functional medicine is and what you do in regards to, diagnosing your patients.
Absolutely. Yeah. Functional medicine has been around, but it's now, I think, finally reaching the forefront in terms of many of us are beginning to practice functional medicine. And basically what it means is we actually look for the underlying cause of a medical problem. So instead of just you coming in and having, a symptom or telling you to don't eat this or don't eat that, and here's some medication for your indigestion or your blood sugar or something like that, we actually do a different type of testing that looks for the underlying cause of the medical problem. And then I develop a lifestyle change program for you so that once we identify the underlying cause, we treat the underlying cause, and we also work with you to change your lifestyle in terms of diet, exercise, education around your health, so that now you can put certain pieces of information in place and continue to help prevent and treat and manage and even cure the medical problem that you were dealing with that you may have been placed on medication for. So the ultimate reason that I practice functional medicine is to help get you off of prescription medicine as best I can, decrease your dependency on those prescription drugs, and just increase your overall health and well-being. So it's functional medicine just doesn't address a medical test. It actually looks at the whole person and addresses you as an entire person, and looks at stress, looks at diet, looks at, of course, the medical condition and looks at all of that to see how they interplay with each other to have caused your problem. So it's yeah.
Go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh, no. So it's a different, very comprehensive approach to managing or even curing a medical condition that you may have been told you were going to be stuck with for the rest of your life.
So what kinds of conditions would those be? Because some of the things that I've heard conflicting news about or information about in the past was that, I've heard some people say that they have, improved their health to the point where they no longer take insulin because they had diabetes and things of that nature. And they are on a path to essentially being free of a condition like that. And I've heard some people say, nope, diabetes is a lifelong sentence, and this is what you're going to have to deal with for the rest of your life. And you can't, come off of the medicine or whatever the case may be.
Well, when I practice medicine, of course, functional medicine, your first question was what conditions, any condition, any medical problem. Now, I can't fix everything. There's some things that, one gentleman called in and he had a very rare condition that is definitely hereditary. And so there's some things that we can just help you with. But ultimately, when you talked about diabetes, I have patients that we have gotten them off their prescription medicine. And so the whole attitude, once you're diagnosed with a certain condition, you're going to have this condition for the rest of your life. That's exactly what the pharmaceutical industry wants you to believe.
Uh-oh.
And that's the truth. That's exactly what they want you to believe. And I'm here to tell
conspiracy.
And I'm here to tell you that is not the case. And in many times, we can absolutely reverse and get people off medicine. And I absolutely have proof of that. And if nothing else, reduce the medication that they're taking. So, if you believe that once you're diagnosed with a condition and once we start this medicine, you're probably going to be on it the rest of your life. And if they can get you to believe that, then they're going to have an incredible. They'll constantly make billions. And so you have to consider all of that.
So what drove me to the hospital? It's been 3 weeks ago, I think, at this point, and what drives many men to the hospital, or many Black people to the hospital, is not necessarily the condition that I had, which was diverticulosis with an aggravated, I guess, a diverticuli or whatever that thing is called.
Mm-hmm.
Like it burst. So that's not the real cause of what drove me there. The real cause of what drove me there was something that you mentioned a moment ago, which was education, and that I was underinformed about the condition I had, and underinformed about the need to maybe change diet or the need to check in with my doctor more often, et cetera. How do you, there are lots of people out here who want to come see you, but they are fearful. How do you break that down?
It's, and I'm glad you mentioned the underinformed and the lack of education. People are afraid of change, and they're afraid to step out and look for a different way to achieve a goal. And there is a lot of fear out there. And a lot of it really is brainwashing. I mean, we really have been taught to believe have a certain way of thinking about our medical treatment and how, doctors treat patients, and patients are supposed to respond to the doctors. And what I encourage my patients to do, or anyone that may be listening and considering, what is she talking about? And maybe, should I hear a little bit more of this, is you have to take your medical condition in your own hands. It is ultimately up to you to seek out the education, seek out the information. And if you don't know where to get it from and how to get it, that's where I fit in. And that's a new role and a different role for a physician, because we typically don't have time to do that sort of thing. But that is my role in helping my patients get off of their medicine. There is a huge educational component. And when I work with everyone, when I work with my patients, I do what I address the 5 pillars of health. And one of those 5 is education. It's education, it's nutrition, and education about nutrition, which actually leads to your whole condition with the diverticulitis. It's detoxification. It's an understanding of an imbalance in their hormones and the neurotransmitters in their brain for stress management. And I think one of the things that we don't understand in this country, or it's hard for people to realize, is that our diets, the way we eat, this American diet is responsible for probably 80%, maybe even more than that, of the medical conditions that we have. The condition, the diverticulitis that you had, and the fact that yours burst, that was a life-threatening emergency. I mean, that was a serious emergency to have the diverticular rupture like that.
Excuse me, Doc. Doc, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that Maynard heard exactly what you said, because as we were having this conversation, he was trying to, as it was happening, he was trying to downplay it a tad bit. And I want you to just to say it again, that this was a life-threatening event, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
And I was at the hospital at the time that I told you that. Was that right, Lamar? I mean, where else was I supposed to be?
Listen, Playboy.
With you?
Listen, Playboy. I'm just telling you that we have a medical practitioner on our podcast that is siding with me in terms of this matter with you and your situation. So, Doc, go ahead, because you've hit on a lot of points I want to ask you about, but I wanted you to finish your thought before I ask.
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a medical emergency. It was life-threatening. What essentially happened is your intestinal lining ruptured, and everything that was in your gut spilled out into your abdominal wall where it's not supposed to be. So that means the bacteria that's in the good and the bad bacteria and all that stuff that you hear about, right? Mm-hmm. That means that went in there, all of those things. So you could have developed a very serious abdominal infection that we call peritonitis, which would have landed you on antibiotics for a long time. So, and you could have died. I just want to kind of throw that out there. This is serious. So I'm so glad that you got there in the nick of time and everything went very well, because it is something, diverticulitis, I treat that all the time in my practice. And it comes from an American diet for the most part. There's a small hereditary component, but for the most part, it comes from a high-fat, low-fiber diet.
Bacon,
ribs, fried chicken.
Get him, Doc. Get him.
All of that good stuff, and not enough fiber, vegetables, fruit, just wasn't enough of that.
So real quick, Dr. Chatman. I mean, and Lamar, I know you want to get in, but I want to stick to Maynard's point, because this is important. And maybe he could just be lying to us, Doc. But in regards to the response from his doctor is oh, you don't really need to change your lifestyle. You kind of need to do some things in moderation. I'm not telling you don't eat this, don't eat that, so forth and so on. And you're saying this is kind of coming from a diet perspective, and I'm always leery for doctors, because kind of going back to what you said in regards to the pharmaceutical companies, some of these doctors are just telling you what you really want to hear rather than what you really need to hear. And so in this case, is this a really diet? Is this a lifestyle change in regards to diet? Or is this go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. Eat, you can just continue to eat bacon. Just modify your diet. Don't eat a pack of bacon. Just eat 2 or 3 pieces.
Yeah. It actually is a lifestyle change, but it doesn't have to be painful. And I think that's where the fear comes in. It's like, you can't take my ribs away from me now. 4th of July is coming up. What are you talking, that sort of thing. It is a lifestyle change. However, it is individualized. So whereas one person may not be able to eat very much red meat anymore because of whatever their medical problem is, another person may be able to have that red meat once a week, and then everything else, fish, chicken, or, have a meatless Monday, or however they want to do it. When I work with someone, and I hope I'm answering you, Spud, clearly enough, but that answer isn't always, the reason the reason it is not always cut and dry and easy to answer is because I don't practice cookie cutter medicine. And what you've been experiencing and what you are alluding to is the doctor says, just do this, do this, do this. It's very cookie cutter, and it doesn't work the same way for everyone. So when you come in to see me, I have to look at I look at things from a whole different perspective. And I have to look at your lifestyle, current lifestyle. I have to look at your stress level. I have to look at all of those things and then put together a program that's just for you. So one person's moderation may be another person's absolutely not, and vice versa.
There's a lot of stress in giving up ribs. There's a lot of stress in giving up ribs.
A
lot of stress in giving up ribs.
So
pressure high.
You know what? But now for you, because you had diverticulitis that ruptured and you were in the hospital, your diet has to be different. You can't eat peanuts and popcorn and sesame seeds. Did anyone explain that to you?
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I'm just
Yes.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, you didn't explain it to us. You didn't explain it to us then.
But hold on now. So I was aware of that, and I've been doing well with that for years, right? Because I originally, initially had this diagnosis,
you're
maybe
about to
4
tell
or 5
on
years
yourself. You're about to tell on yourself, Lamont. He's telling on himself.
And
I see.
I stopped. Look, I did. It was a huge change. It was no more corn on the cob or corn. It was no more peanuts. It was no more heavy grains had to go. Like those artisanal breads and things that you go like at Panera Bread, all that kind of stuff.
Seeds in it. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And popcorn had to go. And it
So what did you do? You did something. What happened? Tell it.
No, we don't know. Right now, I don't know.
Really?
I know. I have some suspicions, and one of the things also I discussed with my father, who also has this condition, is the use of NSAIDs. He said he was having a bleeding bout every, twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. And he's then 4 or 5 years ago, he said no more to Aleve and Advil and NSAIDs. And in 5 years, there's been no occurrence. Because
that's a side
they're a
effect
blood
for
thinner.
sure.
Because they're a blood thinner. And so there's a possibility that could have occurred. I think I might have had some corn liquor. I don't know. Somebody might have slipped me one. I'm not sure. And maybe an almond or two. So who knows?
Well, I think for you it would be a matter of talking to you and really getting an idea, and try to decide where things may have gone wrong that could have led to that. I mean, of course, it requires a conversation. It really does, and your doctor should really be able to sit down, because you need to know what may have happened so that you don't repeat that.
Right.
And if you are not able to identify it, then for you, a lifestyle change is an absolute must. It will save your life. So everyone is a little different, and it really depends on what's going on. But I mean, eliminating the NSAIDs are really good, simply because that is a side effect to the gastric bleeding with those. But it's, everybody's different, and that's the beauty of the way functional medicine has really turned a corner in terms of healthcare. It forces those of us that practice it, and I was doing this anyway, but even more so now, to actually look at other things that could be causing a problem. Sit down, take a lot more time, talk more, and integrate, like I said, those 5 pillars of health to try to develop something that works. But ultimately, it does boil down to permanent changes. But these permanent changes will get you off your medication.
Mm-hmm. So Dr. Chatman, let me ask you this question, and not to cut you off, but first I just want to say thank you for addressing a few things, not only with Maynard, but to the people that listen to this podcast, because I want to reiterate what you said, which is very important. It's almost about not trying to just put a Band-Aid on the problem, which is traditional medicine, in my opinion, but it's going to the root of what caused the problem. Because like you said, once you find out what the root is, then you know how to address it properly. But here's my question. Growing up as a child in the city of Detroit, where the reality is that your food options are sometimes limited, that if you go on any corner, east, west side, is something that's either fried, salty, sugary. Those are about the 3 main things. It's very hard, for people in certain communities to have access to proper nutrition. We know you're not a magician, but could you kind of point out to that a little bit? Because just something as simplistic for me, like I was at the store the other day and I got an apple juice and I just turned it over and looked at the label.
It's a lot of sugar. Oh yeah.
I mean,
not
just
good.
Just a regular old. I'm thinking I'm drinking apples, but it's like what they put into that apple juice. That calorie count alone for what I try to do per day, that was like almost 400 calories. So could you speak to that, because I believe that nutrition is honestly 85 to 90%.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and you're ahead of most folks, Spud, and you're understanding that, because people don't realize how big that nutrition is. It is very difficult in the cities, and it could be Detroit, it could be Chicago, Philadelphia, it doesn't matter. But when you're dealing with inner city, and there's a lower socioeconomic status typically when that happens, and that's why the food choices aren't like they should be, and there's no excuse for that, because those same grocery stores and grocery store chains can be in the city and do very well. So why they don't come into the city is a whole nother conversation, but that it's not good, and the access to the fruit and vegetables is not the same. So this would be my suggestion to any parents listening, if they want to try to do whatever it is they can do within their budget. Start buying frozen vegetables. In other words, stop getting canned vegetables. There's absolutely no dietary benefit, no nutritious benefit, nothing in canned foods.
So Doc, wait, Doc, wait a minute, Doc. I'm sorry, Doctor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So are you saying that this food that Donald Trump is going to start sending through the mail, that it has no nutritional value? Is that where we're going?
It's in a can.
Oh, you better tell him.
It's in a can.
You better tell him now. Okay.
I don't know that it'll matter, but and there's so much salt. The sodium contents are so high, and the reason for that is because they have to use it as a preservative to preserve the canned foods. And as far as trying to get fiber from canned string beans, canned peas, canned all that, it's all gone. It's been broken down by the time it's sat inside that whatever the juices are that they use, the water and the salt. So it's no nutritional value. That's the first thing. You can buy bags of frozen vegetables and add some water, put it in a pot, cook it up that way. So for the moms that are listening, stop buying canned foods. And I've been preaching this for years. This has nothing to do with functional medicine. Stop buying the cans as best you can and go to bags of frozen vegetables. And don't be worried about looking for organic frozen. At this point, if you're just trying to transition and do the best you can on your budget, just get frozen vegetables.
Dr.
If it's
Chapman,
cheaper
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, as far as the fruit is concerned, you definitely want to try to get some bags of apples, bags of whatever you can, oranges. Get them when they're on sale. Get if they have some frozen whatever that they have frozen strawberries. Actually, you can actually get strawberries now if you wanted to, and they're not nearly as expensive as they used to be. But aside from that, some bags of apples and oranges are fine. But you have got to add fresh fruit and vegetables in the diet. Get rid of that sugar. Stop giving them kids potato chips, bags of Doritos, and everything else on the way to school. You got to stop doing that.
Well, wait,
And
Doc,
there are
wait a
some
minute,
things that can be
Doc.
done.
So I can't have a 99-cent bag of Doritos?
You know,
And the flaming hot Cheetos? And the flaming hot Cheetos?
Just a little bit of Cheetos?
You know what? I would have them have a cheat day on the weekend.
Okay.
Eat it on the weekend.
Okay, all right.
But on the way to school during the week, nope. But on the weekends, just whatever they want. That's a good way, because nobody can just stop abruptly and just, okay, we're gonna do it this way from now on. That's really difficult. We want to make these transitions last. So Monday through Friday, try to be good. Saturday and Sunday, have as much fun with your diet as you want.
So, Dr. Chapman,
Monday through Friday,
before we go, I want you to talk about two things, and they kind of lead into each other because, when you're on my show, we kind of talk about sugar is the worst thing ever, ever, ever.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you could talk about why, sugar is the worst and how you can eliminate your diet. Like I look at Reverend Al Sharpton, who said he totally eliminated sugar out of his diet, period. And one of the things that is high in sugar is alcohol. And liquor, is something that we all like to partake in. And so how do you balance, I guess, drinking alcohol and the process of eliminating sugar from your diet?
Well, you're right. Sugar is literally a poison. It is a poison, period. Okay? It's extremely toxic. Now, it tastes good, and every now and then a little bit of sugar is okay. But what we do is we're doing sugar every single day is what the problem is. And sugar is very addictive. Try to stop. You will crave it. It's addictive. And it does something in the brain that literally causes you to crave it. Okay? So it's not your fault. It's serious. Sugar, cancer cells are fed by sugar. And I'm going to say that again. Cancer cells need sugar. That is exactly how, they
that was the part where everybody was like, oh my gosh.
I gotta throw this picture of Kool-Aid out, man. This Kool-Aid gotta go. What? I love some Kool-Aid.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a killjoy and say, oh, I can't have. Yeah, you can have your piece of cake, you can enjoy, but this is where you have to really try to use discretion and put your health first and understand that it's very important to eliminate as much sugar from your diet. And sugar's everywhere. Sugar's in ketchup. Sugar's everywhere. Like you said, Spud, you went and got that apple juice and you thought it was healthy. Apple juice has a lot of sugar. So anyway, sugar is not healthy for your body at all. It causes a lot of inflammation. It helps cancer cells grow. It does all sorts of things that causes you to gain weight. I mean, the list is on and on and on and on with sugar. So ultimately, not good. When it comes to alcohol, alcohol is converted to sugar. Once you drink it, it just converts to sugar. So you may as well be drinking sugar. Okay. You know that rum comes from cane sugar, the sugar cane, right? That's how they make it. But any alcohol, I mean, vodka comes from potato, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Any sort of alcohol gets converted to sugar once it gets into your body. The same thing with starch, pasta, spaghetti, bread. It converts to sugar. Potato, Potatoes have more, it's converted to sugar more than a piece of cake. Okay? I ask people all the time, what do you think has more sugar, a large baked potato or a piece of cake? And it's the large baked potato.
So wait. So no, wait, made it.
Replace the baked potato with a cake.
No.
So it's chicken,
No.
green beans, and cake.
No. So Doc, so you telling me that when I go get that cheeseburger deluxe from the Coney, all of those wait, all of those fries that they're putting in that just came out of that hot grease is going to turn into sugar in my body?
It's going to be fat and sugar.
All right. I just want to make sure we were clear.
Sugar.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So it really, you got to enjoy. I mean, my goodness, there's nothing wrong with enjoying foods. There's nothing wrong with enjoying. But if you've got a medical condition that you have to be careful of, then you've got to really make sure that you are paying very close attention to what you're eating and have a cheat day. Have a day where you can enjoy, and then you make certain allowances in your diet so that it balances. It's all about balance. It really is all about balance. And if you don't have a medical problem that you have, you don't want to develop one. So it's still all about balance. And I say this over and over when I talk to people about my program, is that what I'm restoring to your body literally is balance. And the human body is a perfect organism. It really is. It's just a marvel. And if we get out of the way and let it take care of itself and give it what it needs, it will balance and right side and fix itself. It will cure and do everything it needs to do. It's us. It's what we feed it. It's what we breathe. It's the stress that we have in our life. That's what causes the problem.
Okay, Doc.
And maybe the next time we talk, we can talk about prostate health, because I wanted to get in there, but I don't think I have time for that. But anyway.
Yeah, but Doc, I got one more question. Spud, don't kill me. Mm-hmm. So Doc, what do we do? Because I was taught that drinking milk is also poison because milk is mucus. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Milk is not mucus, but milk causes it. Milk, yes. It causes a lot of inflammation, lots of swelling, lots of congestion, sinuses. People are allergic and don't realize it.
So why are we taught to give children milk at an early age if this is a bad thing? Like, why do you start a child's life off drinking milk?
Yeah, because while they're infants, they need it. It's made that way so that once they're past the infancy stage, your body no longer needs it. But in the very beginning, we absolutely, and while they're toddlers and while they're really small, they absolutely need milk. And they need whole milk, not low fat, not 2%. The brain develops with fat from the milk. Babies need the proper amount of fats in their diet because the brain needs it to develop. It absolutely needs it. It's the number one thing that the brain uses to develop when they're babies. It's fat. It comes from the milk.
So that means that means Maynard has fat on his brain when he was a child.
It means that once you're past infancy, you no longer need it. But we're the only mammals that continue to drink it, and it's propaganda.
Oh,
milk does a body good, right? Milk does a body good. It's all propaganda. You don't need milk after infancy. And
so that means now when I go to Jamaica, I can,
stop.
When I go to Jamaica, that means I cannot go to the all-inclusive and drink Appleton rum the entire time I'm there?
I would suggest you go ahead and enjoy yourself.
But I do want to ask this because I know, I do want to ask this because and we do got to do a show on prostate cancer because that's extremely important. But what age should a man start looking at prostate cancer? Because it's so confusing. Some people say you shouldn't worry about it until you're in your 50s, and then some people talk, some doctors say in your 40s, and so forth and so on. So when should you start paying attention to your prostate?
Yeah. We always say that if there's a family history of prostate cancer, we like you to start watching in your 30s, especially if you're a black male. Especially if you're a black male, okay? And then for any male, we start doing prostate rectal exams. It used to be age 40 and they pushed it up to age 45, but African American men should always start at age 40 getting their rectal exams for their prostate so we can start checking for problems then. It is more prevalent in the African American male, and because of that, we have to be a lot more vigilant a little earlier. And it can be very devastating. There's like 240,000 men a year will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and 30,000 of them will probably die from it. So, and those numbers may be higher in black men. Or in fact, we know that they are. So the answer to your question is, if there's a family history of prostate cancer, start in your 30s. Otherwise, 40 if you're African American male, and 45 otherwise, all other men.
So, Dr. Chapman, if you can, I know you're in Michigan, but I would still like for you to give your phone number out, and our podcast is nationwide. But if people just have more questions about functional medicine, and they may, what we really honestly should do is to try to see if we can do a webinar or something like that, about functional medicine. Do you do webinars?
I would love to.
Okay, yeah, because
if you want me to, I'll do it.
Yeah, if we could try to set that up in the near future, just to kind of give men from across the country, and around the world, the opportunity to get more information about functional medicine. Not just men, women, everybody more information about functional medicine. But I know you do seminars, locally in the Michigan area. But if you can give your phone number out, just in case people have more information or have questions about functional medicine and that nature, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. My telephone number is area code 248-569-8420. That's 248-569-8420. And I would love to talk to anyone. That's my office number. I have been practicing functional medicine for quite some time and been a family practitioner for over 25 years. So I've been in medicine for a very, very long time, and I think functional medicine is probably the best thing that's happened since penicillin to medicine. So
thank you so very much, Dr. Chapman. We truly appreciate you, and you dropped some strong jewels today. So I truly appreciate the time and the wisdom and the information. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Spud.
You're welcome. Have a great
day.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is now time for the Cactus of the Week. This is where somebody says some stupid-ish, and they get a choke on their words. Maynard, who is getting the cactus?
It pains me to have to give people the cactus on a regular basis. And that's why I let the cactus go on hiatus for a while. But it's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just been growing. I've been watering it. And you don't have to water cactuses often, or cacti. I'm not sure. Can we get a clarification on that? I got some people working on that. They'll be back in a second. So, but I have to give the cactus to somebody who is supposed to be a leader in our industry, in our music genre. The cactus this week goes to a cat.
Lamont Hayes. Now I'm just saying.
Big Willie, my bad, dude. My bad, dude. I didn't know Spud was going to take it there. The cactus goes to a brother who's known for bringing the freestyles from every artist who steps in the studio. The cactus goes to a guy who hosts a show in the biggest media market in the country and is always dropping them bombs for cats. He this past week hosted Lil Yachty. The man that I'm talking about is Funkmaster Flex. He hosted Lil Yachty, who came to drop a freestyle. Lil Yachty, who can't rhyme. Sorry, not at least not on the freestyle. Drops a freestyle, and Flex sits there for the 4.5 minutes and then gives him some bombs and says it's fire. It's not fire. Flex, you know better than this. Flex, you know better than this. We know at this point that once Black Thought did what he did, the freestyle on Funkmaster Flex's show has been forever and complete. Yo, Black Thought broke it down so it can completely and consistently remain broke forever and a day. And you can't let nobody come in here with no weak ass rhymes and drop some rhymes and then you be like, oh, that's fire, and give them a bomb. That means if you just give everybody bombs, then the bombs don't mean nothing. Once Thought did it, it's over. That's the bar. That's the bar. That's where it's at.
But who are you to say that that's the bar, man? Like,
man, it is undeniable.
Okay,
that when Flex did it, I'm sorry, when Thought did it, that's where it is.
So I'm gonna tell you where, like my man, you ever heard of Vince Staples?
Yes.
Like Vince, he broke something down, on an interview that I heard him say, and he put some things in perspective. And I'm also starting to feel like I see why some of the people of the younger generation are looking at people like you, like you're old and you don't matter. Because Vince said this. He said, listen, when I was in the third grade is when Snoop Doggy Dogg came out. You know what I'm saying? And he started to go through his life in terms of records that had been out. So when you got kids who are, maybe 20 some odd years younger than you, it's like they just have a whole different way of just consuming music, of appreciating music. And I don't think we should say that it's wrong if, or that it's whack if they like Lil Yachty. I don't like Lil Yachty either, but to say that it's whack and to give Flex a cactus because of that, I'm feeling like, I'm feeling a little some kind of way about that,
I
bro.
know you are.
Did you see the Yachty freestyle?
It would be painful for me to watch. I wouldn't watch that.
Okay.
So therefore it was whack. Thank you for agreeing without knowing. Now, this is the thing though, Lamar. I'll say this. When you and I were in third grade or whatever, and you had to go to music class, they weren't teaching us the Beatles. They weren't teaching us a Michael Jackson tune. They were like, yo, we're going to teach you like Brahms' Lullaby or Beethoven or something. And then as we got a little bit older.
Maynard, I'm sorry. I went to a DPS school. We didn't do that.
You learned the basics of music first. They didn't just start off like, here's a Smokey Robinson.
Sing a song.
What I'm saying is this.
There we go, baby. There we go.
What I'm saying is this. You don't jump into calculus before you get into arithmetic, right? We were taught where like, okay, this is, you play Three Blind Mice, right? Three Blind Mice. That, I forget, I think that's Beethoven or something like that. I'm not sure. It was somebody. And then we progressed and we built on top. And eventually at some point they were like, okay, we're going to introduce you to jazz. And then, okay, this is what Count Basie sounds like. And then you had an appreciation for the art form. So for somebody to say, well, when Snoop Dogg was out when I was in third grade, means that you don't understand something. Meaning this, Snoop Dogg was not building on Tupac or building on Run DMC. They were building on G-Funk. G-Funk was, say, George Clinton. So they were building on the past and understanding and appreciating where this music came from. And there's a reason why that music resonates. But when you come out and say, well, I just remember Snoop, and it doesn't matter. And I'm not suggesting that we need to compare Yachty to Run DMC or anything like that. What I'm saying is, when Thought dropped that, you recognize real. When you hear it, you may not know what the dopest MC sounds like until you hear it. And then you say, that's what that shit's supposed to sound like. And then when you hear Yachty, you're like, no, that just doesn't sound that way. It just doesn't.
Yeah, but it's not. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. It's a different frequency. Okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave this alone. So about a year ago, I I was eating lunch with Chucky Thompson. Now, Chucky Thompson, if you don't know Chucky out of my era, made some of the greatest Mary J. Blige records, some of the greatest hip hop R&B records. Right?
Name drop.
Yeah, no. But for this one, I think you need to, right? Chucky, he said he had a conversation with Quincy Jones, and he asked Quincy. He said he wanted to know what was his thought process when he made Thriller with Michael Jackson. And Chucky said that Quincy told him, he said, listen, everything is about frequency. He said, as you get at different stages of your life, the frequencies that you hear are going to be totally different at different ages. So I'm saying all that to say is that what some of these kids are listening to at 17, their frequency that they hear, the tones, it's totally different than what you may hear, Maynard. So where you think is trash, again, it could be the same thing, but they are totally hearing something different. Like for me, when I listen to a Michael Jackson record now, it's totally different than it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, because there's certain instrumentation that I hear in those records that is like, wow, this shit is amazing. So I'm just let that little boy breathe.
Let me say this. You know, I let him breathe. Okay. The thing that was the dopest thing about the damn freestyle was the beat. That's the dopest thing about the freestyle. Right.
That was the dopest thing about the freestyle.
Listen.
So the frequencies that frequency argument doesn't matter. But go ahead.
You know,
what do you mean it doesn't matter?
Because at the end of the day, look at it from this perspective, right? A freestyle, I think we all can agree what a dope freestyle is, regardless if you're 17, if you're 70, if you're 40, if you're Black Thought, if you're Little Yachty, if you're Myson, if you're Head Crack from Dish Nation, you know, if you're Rev Run, I think we all know what a dope freestyle is, right? It has substance, it has energy, it has, you know, just it has that.
It flows.
It flows. It has gravity to it. It's like, yes. I don't know if it matters about the age demographic when you're defining what a dope freestyle is. So I don't want to separate.
No. You sat here and told me there was a generation that thought that NBA YoungBoy was it was hot out here.
His song.
We ain't talking about going in the studio.
Yeah,
we talking about walking into the radio station and they drop them beats and it's time for you to hit them bars. It's like this. The Olympics just came, or no, the NBA All-Star Weekend's a couple weeks behind us, right? We all know that year, for instance, when Vince Carter did that dunk and put his whole arm in the rim, like, oh, that's something different. That's something. We all know when a guy glides from the free throw line and dunks it like Michael Jordan did with that level of swag, like, oh, that's a 10. And we also recognize when somebody comes up there and bounces the ball off the backboard and dunks it with his right hand, like, you know, that's just not a 10. It's not even an 8. And it's just, you know what real is when it shows up. When they do that dive off the diving board and the person goes in and there's no splash, they be like, oh my God, that's a 10. You go in there and look like a belly flop, Lamont? That's not a 10. What Little Yachty did was a belly flop.
Come on, man.
It was sloppy. There were parts of it that were sloppy. He got stuck in his words. He was reading it off of his phone. It's just not it's not. It just doesn't match up.
Okay, you can have that, man. You can have it.
Let me ask you this one question this way then. If Black Thought came on stage and did what he did at the Apollo, and then Yachty came on, would they be like, dun, 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 or would they be like, oh yeah, we're gonna give him 3 stars or whatever?
No, Maynard. But Maynard, here's the deal. The reality is that me and you are closer to receiving our AARP cards, and the kids that are listening to Little Yachty are probably worried about their social studies homework.
What?
So I think it's just 2 totally different demographics, bro. Like you can't put Black Thought and Little Yachty in the same.
Well, let me say this about what the Maynard's point is all the time. If kids cannot recognize what a dope freestyle is, then that's a problem, right? Because a dope freestyle is a dope freestyle is a dope freestyle, period.
Dope freestyle.
Right? That should not change anything, regardless of generation or anything of that nature. So if you're saying that, if they equate Lil Yachty's freestyle as dope because they're younger than us, then it does leave room for Lil Yachty's music to come in and set precedent on what real dope music is, because the freestyle is not hot. Because a freestyle, somebody who's my son's age, who's 25, can be able to say, yo, I don't really know who Black Thought is, but he ripped it, period. And I should be able to say the same thing. And I should be able to say the same thing about Lil Yachty. Yo, I ain't really messing with Lil Yachty like that, but he ripped it.
But that was dope, or
But
was
that
not
was dope.
dope.
You know,
Right.
same thing with, you know what I'm saying, with
I rock with Joey Badass. I feel like Joey
what's
Badass
homeboy's
is a
name?
young cat.
Yeah, and what's homeboy's name? It just came out on Atlantic. Last time that I checked, Nipsey Hussle. Right, I wasn't checking. I was like, yo, that's Nipsey Hussle. That's some young boy West Coast Crip shit, blood shit. I ain't with that. But then when I actually start to see homeboy, and then I start listening to his music, I was like, wait, no, homeboy's dope. It had nothing to do about, you know, the genre. Right, he's younger. He relates.
Let me back one piece up though, Spud. One thing you said is the dopest thing about it was the beat. So the whole concept of the frequency being an issue has nothing to do with this conversation, because the beat was there. I'm not even sure if Yachty actually was on beat in some spaces, in lots of spaces.
Right.
So frequency and sonically and all that other kind of, where they're, you know, the blah blah blah, that was in. Whether it was Yachty on that beat, or Thought on that beat, or Method, or, you know, or Royce.
Or
The beat was the beat.
J. Cole, or Kendrick,
Right.
or anybody from, you know what I'm saying, the newer generation.
The beat was the beat. Yachty's lyrics just, they missed. And his flow missed. And it's not just me saying this. I mean, Black Twitter is dragging this dude.
Black Twitter. I gotta love. All right, let's leave it there. Let's move on before we go. So people are coming to his defense. Lamont, you don't come to his defense. Finally, the Grapevine and Serene Sensei, or whatever, this thing went viral in regards to Bruno Mars. 100% is a cultural appropriator. He is not black at all, and he plays up to his racial ambiguity and crosses genres.
Hey, man, can we get a hand clap? Man, we got to work on these sounds, bro. I need a hand clap. I need some gunshots in the air.
So you're saying that this is you're saying that this is okay, that he's a culture vulture, basically.
No, what I've said since day one is that Bruno Mars is a thief.
Damn.
I've said that. I mean, it's
That's
no,
worse than
it's
a
no.
culture vulture.
I think so. He's a thief. I think that, you know, what Robin Thicke was sued and penalized for, Bruno Mars does it and he's celebrated. Now, whether it's because of, I don't know what it is, but he's just more accepted. And he even said that, you know, where he gets his inspiration, aka his subject matter, his way of doing things, his level of thievery is based upon X, Y, and Z. I mean, he doesn't try to bring anything creative to the mix. He's a thief. So my position's not going to change. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, so it's not just me that thinks about that. You know what I'm saying? Or that sees that. He's just a thief.
So let me ask this question.
Here we go.
Is it thievery to sit down at the piano and compose a song, even if it's, I mean, everybody's been, look, there are only 8 chords in a note or something like that, right? I'm not a musical genius, but there are only 8 chords that exist.
Mm-hmm.
Is it wrong for somebody to sit down and play a song and then write songs? And maybe it's inspired by, and maybe it sounds similar to a lot of other artists who came before. I mean, we recognize that, you know, James Brown had a style, and many artists came after James and tried to do some of the things he tried to do.
Is Diddy a thief?
Right, that's what I'm trying to figure. At least Bruno is actually making music. What happens when you basically are the Kinko of musicians? where you basically just copy. Literally, I'm just going to take hits from the 80s, remix them so they sound so crazy. Come on. Diddy's not a thief. Kanye's not a thief. Yo, on 444, all those samples were samples of other people's original music.
But I think sampling is
here is the bullshiggity.
You finished? Are you gonna?
Bullshiggity.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, man. This you know what? Since you got out the hospital,
he getting offended.
No. Since he got out the hospital, he's been on his stuff. So go ahead, man. You got the floor.
No, it's all you. It's all you. Tell me why samples are. Tell me why samples. Who did for 444 for the actual song? Who did Jay sample?
Well, if that's the case, then let's go back to your era in the '80s. Then we have to call all of some of who we look up to as hip hop titans and their thieves as well, right?
That's fine.
Cool G Rap is a thief. Big Daddy Kane is a thief.
Yeah, but isn't there a difference between sampling a song and stealing somebody's actual music? Like when you look at and you say, if you take Robin Thicke, if you take Robin Thicke,
but
for
not
example,
according to Maynard. Maynard just said.
We can say now that song was inspired, quote unquote, air quotes there, was inspired by the sound of Marvin Gaye, and so was that a steal of the song? I don't think so, but I think it is Bruno Mars stealing black music, period, or is he just, I don't know. I don't think so. I think Bruno Mars is dope. Here's my question.
Wasn't Tina Marie dope? Wasn't Tina Marie just fire?
Isn't Justin Timberlake dope? Justin Timberlake's dope.
No, but listen. Tina, Justin. Let's go to John B. If we want to make this like a black and white thing, there were John B was dope, son. I don't know what you're talking about. Their level of artistry.
Detroit.
What?
John B can always perform in Detroit.
I'm trying to tell you, John B was dope. There's a difference, not just the songs, but just his whole everything that Bruno does, from his performances. You know, the way that he always picks the brown people to be around him because he has to have that support. That's his visualization.
Yeah, but he's brown too.
Yeah, he's like a light brown.
But you know what's crazy? We were just sitting out here celebrating that there were so many black people in Black Panther. And
I wasn't. No, I did. No, we weren't. You were. Don't say what we were doing. No, that's what you were doing.
Brown people get on stage with Bruno Mars. It's some. Well, he's a thief. I guess he stole the brown people too, huh? He just stole them. He just got them. Come on, man. The dude goes out there and puts on a show. I have to say this. I have been to several concerts. I've been to see several rappers, several R&B artists. And when I see Bruno come on stage, yo, that dude is putting on a show. It's a show, and it's genuine. He's doing it. He doesn't hide from the idea that he says, yo, when I was a kid, this 60 Minutes interview, when I was a kid, I watched James Brown all the time. I watched Michael Jackson. I watched Prince. I watched Stevie Wonder, and that's what I wanted to be like. Those are the people who inspired me, and that's where I come from as far as the musical inspirations that influenced my life and how I conduct my business. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, Maynard. No. We know that Maynard is a Bruno Mars fan, and you can have Bruno.
I'm not necessarily a fan. I'm just trying to figure out what's wrong with it.
Because in my opinion, he's a thief.
When are you going to go to see Hannah Williams and the Affirmations?
Actually, let me ask you this question: What's thievery? Because so what you're saying? So white people can't do black music. Black people can't do country music. I mean, Darius Rucker can't do fucking country music. I mean, where is there in the music guidelines that Bruno Mars can't get a funk sound and make music that sounds like funk, and that just be okay without it being stolen?
I mean, and again, it can be okay to some people, but I think I want to take who said this? I think it was Stephanie Mills. She was in an interview, and I disagree with this. I just feel like in the music business, certain music is more accepted and promoted by people who are other than African American. Period. And Let me finish, Maynard. Let's have a little respect. Let's respect each other now.
I'm gonna play the tape back where you actually overtalk Maynard. I'm gonna play that tape back so that way you can.
It's okay. That's fine. I thought about this the other day when I saw Logic on TV when he was singing his little song, and I said to myself, this guy is so mediocre that there are 15 other black rappers that no way they could have pulled this off. I mean, but this guy is celebrated, and in my opinion, I think it's just because he's a white dude. I believe that because Bruno Mars looks the way that he looks, like there's a guy, and I say this all the time, Anderson .Paak could perform and play every instrument 15 million times better than Bruno Mars. And we sat and talked about it. You probably won't do it, but it's a little homework for you. Go on your little iTunes or whatever it is you have and just pull up dude's stuff. I mean, this dude is amazing.
What does that have to do with Bruno Mars, though?
But Bruno Mars is still, listen, dope is not binary. It's not like, well, he's dope so no one else can be dope. So Anderson's work is dope. But this is the thing, Lamont, because this is the second time we run across this level of hypocrisy. The second time, and I want to bring it up because you were ready to die in the battle because I said, well, why are we giving Bruno such a hard time? But we want to make sure that Beyonce can go on the Country Music Awards and do her country song.
That's different.
This is on some bull.
My nigga, that's different. That's Beyonce.
Why is that different?
Because that's Beyonce, dude. We don't. Just like you are not allowed to touch the Queen of England, that is Beyonce. We don't discuss her on this podcast.
You know,
not in that tone.
The Queen of England is queen because somebody told a lie and said that they were God born.
Exactly.
And it's a lie. And you can't talk about Beyonce also is a lie.
No.
You know what, man? You don't look good in a leotard.
That's Beyonce, son. You can't talk about
man. Stop putting that Beyonce leotard on and dancing and don't do that no more, Lamont.
That's why I'm going to Nice, and I'm gonna be at the Nice France show in my leotard. You know, see whatever you want to say. I'm gonna be right over there at that Ritz Carlton that's not too far from the venue.
But Spud, did I get him on that though, Spud? Is it true?
Yes.
Yeah. So man, it's bull. We sit here and say that Beyonce, if Beyonce wants to come out with a punk rock album and do something like that, we'd be like, well, that's Beyonce. She's supposed to do it. But Bruno Mars, really, I've only really known him to basically play pop R&B or pop funk. He's never been like, I'm gonna do a whole pop thing and then I'm gonna do this one R&B sounding song just so I can kind of get some. No, that's the genre that he's in, pop R&B or pop funk R&B, whatever that is. He's true to that genre. He doesn't try to like throw something out there. And then Logic, you're right. Logic is whack. When you think of all the rappers who exist and come before him and those who are still contemporaries, Logic's whack. But if we don't, this is what happens when we don't honor the classics. Then if we don't say that these people who I say are the GOATs, for instance, if we don't honor them and we let anybody shoot them down, then we make room for Logic to step in and say, well, if they ain't no good, then guess what I can do? I can do this, this, and this and be just as good as them. Because we sitting out here saying that whatever Lil Yachty is doing is rap music or hip hop. And it's on some foolishness.
Yeah, Lamont. Yeah.
And whatever, dude. He's a thief.
And so and Hannah Williams and the Affirmations, they make a original song.
All I'm gonna say, man, is those that do this, well, what I do, they know Bruno's is a thief, and that's it.
No. I wouldn't. I like to see the person who wrote the songs that Bruno copied. Because Bruno actually wrote songs. He wrote music. He's composing. He's not just sampling.
Well, all I'm going to say is that Elvis was a thief too.
Okay.
Was Elvis a thief?
Yeah, he was a thief.
So why was Elvis a thief and Bruno was not?
Because Elvis wasn't true to the genre. Elvis was like, yo, let me get my eye hustle on and see what Jackie Wilson is doing. And I'm not going to ever tell anybody that I look at Jackie Wilson. I looked at that it was.
So it's okay to steal when you say I'm looking at this guy.
It's not stealing. Yo,
Okay.
when you pay homage to people, when you say, yo, this person right here. The other day I was watching again. It's a little bit old, but I'm watching the 25th anniversary of Def Comedy Jam. And yo, when Tracy Morgan says, yo, I looked up to Martin Lawrence, like you realize that if you heard Martin Lawrence coming out of Tracy Morgan's mouth, you understood that's because he had an admiration and a respect, and he paid him the respect that was due. When you hear Bruno Mars pay respect to James Brown, Michael Jackson, Prince, so on and so forth, all these artists, Rick James and the like, you realize like, yo, that's why he sounds this way. But at least he pays respect. You didn't hear Elvis Presley pay respect. And that's the difference.
We are out, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing it again next Tuesday. Make sure you go to 3blackguyswiththemic.com. If you ain't got a T-shirt, grab a T-shirt.
Get your T-shirts. Yo, you know what? Get your T-shirt. If you get a T-shirt and you take a picture of yourself when in your T-shirt, I will send you a 3 Black Guys coffee mug to go with your T-shirt.
Get your Royal Engagement T-shirt. Get your T-shirt. Get your Royal Engagement T-shirt.
Yo, first five. Just letting y'all know. I don't need
first
500 people showing up. Yeah, right. First five pictures I get with you posting on 3 Black Guys with the Mic on a Facebook page or sending us an email at sir@3blackguyswiththemic.com. The first 5 will get a gift of their choice out of the 3 Black Guys with the Mic shop. It can be a coffee mug.
And we'll throw in the Wendy's 4-for-4 gift card.
Okay. After the doctor said what she said, we ain't trying to hurt y'all.
Right.
Nah, I'm messing.
Y'all have a great week. We'll do it again next Tuesday on 3 Black Guys with the Mic. Share it with your people. Share it with your friends. Share it with your people across the country. Share it with, everybody that you know. Let them know 3 Black Guys with the Mic on Facebook, 3blackguyswiththemic.com. Y'all have a great week.